Second
I
you get
want
a
a
bit,
cure,
you're
God damn it.
yeah, like the cure is not happening.
It
uh,
can't just be Ellie. And I think that's what ultimately this boils down to in my head. Is it just can't be just Ellie. And if it is, then that's what the end of part 3 is going to be about. Is
you
her
know,
just finally getting the what she wanted was to give to the world,
you've
essentially.
just you've just reminded me of a thought that I had while I was watching the episode. And obviously, like, we know Ellie's gay, but in a real world situation, right? Again, this is just me being very real, not being, you know, I'm just thinking logically here, right?
Right.
If you had a young girl who is immune, I would straight away be make like I would be telling her to have children to see if those children are also immune. Because if she can create immune people, you can then start repopulating the world with an immune race, right?
And
And
I'm not against that.
that's logical, right? But they don't even think about that in the show. And I think there was a line that Pedro said in the show, and I think and it kind of linked up perfectly to the whole "I'm a dad" moment, like where he was like, I just hope you do a little better than me, right? And I think when he had said that to her, I think he had probably thought of it as her as a mother, not a father, right? I think that's probably because again, Pedro, he's a man from the early 2000s who goes into an apocalypse. I don't think he's going to be, thinking of Ellie as a father, right? I let's be real here. So I think that's probably why he said the line to her. Now, obviously, she's adapted it to her actual situation, and it probably means something to her now. As of now, and that's probably why she said the whole line. I'm a father. Wow, I get a chance to actually do it a bit better than Joel, and like that lines up. That's perfect. But I don't think Joel. I think Joel had meant it as in like, I would love for you to be a mother and actually be a parent better than me. I think that's how he originally would have thought of it. And I think if I was Ellie in this situation and I was a gay woman, I would still have to have a child of my own to see, can I create immune children? Like I would need to know that as a person, right? I would have to know. I'd be like, lads, somebody get me pregnant here. We need to we need to find out if I could create immune people, because if I do, I've saved humanity. And that's the funny thing, right? Because, and I don't know if maybe they go here in the next game. I don't know, but I kind of get the feeling that they will never do this. But that would actually be such a fucking crazy plot twist, because Ellie obviously feels like, and again, this was like plastered across the episode. What's my purpose? That's like her purpose. It was to be the cure, but actually, and she's so pissed off at Joel because she thinks that Joel took that from her, but she can actually do it for herself. And it's actually it's a wild theory, but she could technically, if she was to create some children that were also immune, that could trickle out, and over the next 100 years, they could have an immune race of people that would be able to fight off the infected and take the Earth back.
Of course. Yeah, and that's an opportunity there. That's a possible ending I would see. The other is just her outright going like, I finally found a place that can make the vaccine. There's someone else who's
Clip it
also
and
been
ship it,
working on
baby.
this.
Clip it and
Well,
ship it.
yeah, definitely. It's like there's so many endings that you can come up with, and I know that the partial, like in my opinion, they made it to where Ellie was, um, gay, so that it would be a harder stake on her personality and life if she had to have kids, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not something that she's interested in, because she clearly wants to be with the same sex, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
But like it makes it more difficult on the journey, because it's like, okay, well, now she's not going to have any kids of her own. Like they're not going to have her genes and whatsoever. So like this is an even bigger stake that's coming through. It's a tough gig for this person, because I think but at the same time, I think it would be cool if, like, by the end of, like, or by the mid, or by the end of the third part, she finds someone who is like, hey, so we figured out how to do surrogacy again, and we would love for you to carry a child, and if you're immune, maybe that child can be immune. And that would be like a wonderful thing, to show like how some women could just be surrogates for others,
Yeah.
because some people just can't have kids. And I think that would be a wonderful way to, like, kind of progress the story in a way where like, you know, there's this kid and then let's find out if they're like, maybe they're immune, maybe they're not. But at the same time, like what research have they done to show whether or not like you can be immune, other than checking the brain? But like it's hard to tell. Like we don't have that much, you know, research within the game other than the fact that like Ellie's the only one that's immune. So like
Yeah.
how do you know? How would you
But
know if they're immune?
I suppose we as the viewer know, like, because of how she was born. She was born just as the mother got bit, so she only got a slight bit of the infection and so on, right? We know that as viewers, but I think Ellie does. I can't remember. Does Ellie, when she's talking to Marlene, does she ever find out the story of the birth? I can't remember, but if she does, right, in the back of Ellie's mind, she should kind of have that. That should be, if I'm thinking of this as an idea, it should be popping into her head, right? And where like I would go is that if I was this character would be like, let's say for example, the events of the second game happen, Ellie ends up alone at the end. We go 10 years into the future again, she's 29 years old, 35 years old, whatever. Then more time has passed, there's less and less and less people left on the earth. She kind of maybe turns around and goes, look, I'm a woman, I am of bearing age, I need to probably have some children to we need to try and repopulate the earth, we need more humans on the earth. And then she realizes, oh my god, my babies are immune. I think that'd be a fucking slick ending to the show.
But
And then it just,
but
we jump forward 100 years and then boom, it's all better.
but that's the hole, is that you like that's the hole that you're creating for the show. Like that's a plot hole because you can't know that they're immune unless they've scientifically said within the show or within the game itself that like if she were to have kids, those kids would be immune. If a doctor could confirm that, then that's
Yeah.
one thing. Your idea can be sound, but you have to think of it in a perspective of the story. It's
Yeah.
much better for the story to end on a what could be the outcome. If she has a child of her own, it would be like, I would think it would be an amazing ending for it to be
Yeah.
like,
Well, what I would
her
do,
holding hold on, her holding the child and just this look on her face that kind of has this feeling that you can kind of understand that she's hoping that this baby is immune if she
yeah,
decides to have a kid. And I think that that is a beautiful ending because it's like, let's hope that this is something that continues on from me.
yeah,
Because then she has the choice. That is the choice. That is the choice that she makes. That's ultimately what this whole series is about. Is Ellie doesn't get to choose. Ellie has not had the opportunity to choose things. And the moment that she does choose to do something, it backfires on her.
yeah.
And she realizes like she can't make the wrong choices because then she just loses everybody.
Yeah, I think if it was my show and I was writing it, I think my fade to black would be like a jump forward. She has like a 10-year-old son or a 10-year-old daughter, and son would actually probably work better because then if it turned out that, like, say, they're out on a hunt or whatever and he gets bit and then they find out, oh my god, you're immune as well. And
And then
then it's kind of like, it's endless possibilities if she has a son because he can go and just fucking impregnate every other woman he finds, and then they could just literally repopulate at a much grander scale. Whereas if you obviously have a daughter, it's one baby at a time, and if it's females, your the the expansion rate is much less. But if you have a son, you can just send them out and off he goes.
And you're really trying to like gamble on the fact that he's going to throw dick all over the place.
Hey, like he would have to, right? Like, I think
No, he doesn't have
like,
to. He could just procreate with whoever he wanted to. Like it's the
I mean, if you're going into like a proper like nearly end of days scenario where there's not many humans left, I think you would need to, as a community, make that decision. Like, look, this dude's able to make immune babies. We need to get as many of them out as possible, like, because we need to try and repopulate the earth here. So
you guys are
it's grim.
It's not
grim.
that it's grim. It's just fucking hilarious. Like you think people would just be all for that.
They would worship this man. If there was a man who was immune at the end of the world, if there was a man who was immune and he could make immune babies and continue the human race, he would be seen as a fucking god, bro. He would be literally the second coming of Jesus. Like people would worship him. They'd be praying for the seed. They would be praying for it, bro.
All right, man.
I don't know.
I mean, a woman could do the same thing. It just takes time.
Of course. And obviously, if it was just a woman that was the immune one, again, same scenario.
which it is right now.
No, but I mean, if Ellie's baby, the first baby that's born is a woman and she's immune, again, she would be seen as a goddess as well and the savior of the earth. But as I say, if they continue to have babies and the next generation is immune and so on, then yeah, it's
see that's why I think
saving the world.
See, that's why I think the cleaner option is just for them to say like, oh, there's another facility that's been working on researching the virus or trying to find a cure. All they need is someone who's immune. And then Ellie finally gets her choice. She's like, I can finally just pass away and give this vaccine.
Yeah.
Like that would be the easiest straight shot. The other direction is a bit messy.
Mine's way cooler. I think my
of course it is way cooler because he's just
way better, bro. It's way better. I just want some immune beads to come out and just start fucking.
Oh man,
it's HBO, bro. They could easily do it. I wouldn't put it past them.
It just throws a logo up on the corner.
Hey guys, this is Finto. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe and like, and let us know in the comments what you think below. See you in the next one. Bye bye.